Hi, my name is Haftamu. I have been developing software for the past 12 years. Today I'm going to teach you about C# data types. This is for beginners. If you are a very experienced programmer, this may not be a tutorial for you. The IDE that I'm going to use is Visual Studio. It's one of the IDEs that you can use to develop, any C# or Visual Basic or F#, programs. So if you haven't installed Visual Studio, you can go to visualstudio.com, and then you can download the community version. You can say no to that one, and then it will automatically start downloading it. And then basically, to just give you an overview, there is a free version of Visual Studio. It's called Visual Studio Community 2017, which is the one that I have downloaded and installed on my machine. There is a professional enterprise. These are not free, but you can download it and try, and it will expire after a certain period of time. But to develop anything, the free version is, I think, good enough, especially when you're learning, C# or any of the Microsoft technologies. So today we're going to talk about data types. I'm going to start Visual Studio 2017, which is a community version, which is also free. I like to show you some examples while learning about the data types. So I'm going to pick a console application, and then I'm going to install it, create the project in my desktop. You can call this one anything you want to. Let's say learning value types. Okay. Just when you start any console project, it already included a program class, which basically an entry point to your console application. If you have never seen this before, I'm gonna just run this one, and then you can see what you're gonna get after running the application. There are two ways of running it. You can click the start button, and then there's also a hotkey, F5, and basically, yeah. So either click it here or do F5. And then it just closes immediately. It's just because we haven't written anything. So if you want the window to stay open, you can do console read the line, and then F5 once, and then hit any key, enter something, or just hit enter key, or just without anything, just if you hit the enter key, it would also closes the window. So whenever you want to write something to the window, you can just console.writeLine, and then type in anything. Hello, learning data types. Basically, hello, learning data types, and then hit enter key, and they will just disappear. So one of the fundamentals of any programming language is learning the data types that are supported by the programming language. So in C#, there are two types of data types. One is the value type, and then the other one is reference type. Value types are stored in memory, specifically on the stack. Reference types are stored in memory. It's called heap. So today we are gonna focus on value types, and in another tutorial we're gonna go a little bit detail about reference types. So let's just focus on value types. Like I said, there are two types of data type in C#, value type and reference types. So what are the value types that are available in C#? The value types are, I'm gonna paste some of the notes that I have created, and then we're gonna go through each, and then basically you need to know when to use each data types. So I can just notice this is gray, because we're not using it. So we can just click on the bulb, the yellow bulb, and then you can remove the unnecessary using the statements. So basically, let's start with, we're gonna go through every data types. One of the fundamentals of any programming language is just the data type. So for example, we can declare a Boolean data type. This is Boolean. Basically, you have two values that you can store. It's either false or it's true. So you basically use, in most of the cases, like for example, if something is true, do something here. It is right, and then you can say else, do something. Basically, I have declared a Boolean, and then we can use it in this condition. If the condition is satisfied, print this, else do that. So Booleans are usually used for, either true or false. And then you might use it like in if statement or anything that you need to evaluate as true or false. The other type is character. I'm gonna just, the char types are you can assign a character literal using a single code like that. For example, like one literal character is A, or just B, or anything like that. You can't really have like more than one character literals. It's just basically you can only have one single character. The other is byte. So you can just do, or basically there are values that you can store in a byte type. This is one of numeric types. Byte, I'm gonna list them here. Byte, integer, long, signed byte, short, unsigned int, unsigned long. We're gonna discuss a little bit about each. So basically, the differences are you can only store certain values in each data types. For example, I'm gonna show you what is the range that you can store in a byte variable. Let's call it B. So the range of byte, start from something. I'm gonna print it out and then we'll see what the maximum and the minimum values of byte type. So let me just, there is a property in byte, so it's called min value, and then byte max value. So I'm gonna print this one out and then we'll see what the maximum and minimum values that you can store. So for byte data type, there is a typo there. You can store from 0 to 255. Let's just see what does that mean. What that means. Byte A equals to 255 plus 1. Notice the compiler is warning us. Basically, the maximum that you can store is 255, right? So if you go beyond 255, you get an exception or an overflow exception if it is during runtime. Notice the tooltip says constant value 256 cannot be converted to a byte. So this is an indication that you can't really go beyond 255. And then each numeric types have similar restrictions. Let's just print out all of them. Actually, let's just print one of the other version of byte. There is something called signed byte, S byte. Basically, when it's S byte, when it's a byte, you can, as you noticed earlier, it has a value ranging from 0 to 255. When it is assigned, it has negative values. It starts from, let me just quickly run it and then we'll see the number that it starts from. Let me just correct some of the typos. Signed byte. So you notice that the byte is 0 to 255. When it becomes signed, you can only store from negative 128 to positive 127. And we can do the same for other types actually also. There are integer, and then, so I think I'm gonna remove this. Int, and then let's just say uint. The unsigned one start with u. The only exception is a signed byte, and then so notice that for the regular integer, it starts from negative 2 billion to positive 2 billion. When it becomes unsigned, 0 to 4 billion something. It's basically double because this one starts from 0, int. And also we do have long, and then there is also long, and we can basically let's just change it to long, and then long, and then long, and then so this is for long. So notice that it has this for long. It starts from, just make it, I think, N0. Let's just format it a little bit. Don't worry about this syntax right now. I think since it's a beginning C#, then we'll go over at some point. The parameter N0 makes it much more readable when you print out numbers. So this is basically for long, and then long, which is unsigned. When it's unsigned, it starts from 0 to 18 quintillion, and then the long ones start from negative to, so I'm sure you notice the pattern. And then there are other types also, short. Basically the difference is basically what the maximum and minimum values are that you can store. So knowing the range will help you when you make a decision what kind of variable that you want to use for the program that you're writing. For example, if you're developing an e-commerce site, you would have some money or calculation to calculate the price of the items in the cart, and you want to be as accurate as possible. So if you're storing a price of, let's say, the price of a product A, you would want to use decimal types. So it has a higher precision, and then you'll be able to, you should use decimals for any financial applications, especially anything that is related with money. Let's see. So you can, I think, don't need to repeat this one, decimal. And notice you can, I'm gonna comment this to out. So this is a range of decimal that you can store in a decimal variable. So this, like I said, any financial related application, money, especially money related programs, you would want to make sure that you choose the right data type. So we looked at integer, we looked at int, we looked at Byte, and then there is also short type, and this says basically it has a specific range that you can store the value in. So for example, let's define any a decimal value variable d, and then let's just put 0 or 12. So sometimes, yeah, like you want decimals are like $12.50. If the price of a product is $12.50, you want to store it like that, right? So notice that the compiler is warning us. So basically, when you're defining a decimal constant or decimal value, you would want to make it suffix the decimal value with m. It can use capital M or small m. Let's just declare an integer. If you try to put a decimal in an integer, it's going to give you a warning. So this is a double value. You can't really store it, because basically if I were to convert 12.36 to an integer, it's going to drop the decimal values. So let's just convert this to double. And you can, for double, you can use D or capital D to store it. Or you can also ignore the D, because the warning that we got from the decimal is, notice that the literal type of double cannot be implicitly converted to type decimal. So compiler thinks this is double, but the variable is declared as decimal. That's the reason that we have to put m. So the other one is float, or 12.58. So notice it is also giving us, just put D here. It's also giving us a similar error. The tooltip is basically telling you what to put in at the end of the number. It's suggesting to put, use a suffix f. Capital or small f is okay. So that's very important to know, when you try to declare. And when you're new to C#, you might get confused why the compiler is giving you an error when you define a constant value like that for decimal float numbers. So the other type is enum. Enum, basically these are a group of constant variables that you can group them so that it makes your code much more readable. And I'll show you how to define enums. So for example, weekdays. Weekdays will have like Monday. I'll tell you about the value that I assigned Monday, Tuesday equals to 2. And Thursday you can do 4. Should be equals, and Friday. These are the weekdays, right? So notice it gives you a structure, and then you know that these are related weekdays. If it is if it is just days, you could add Saturday and Sunday, but that's just you can give it public. So basically, you don't need to assign the subsequent constants. You can just remove this one, and then I'll show you what the compiler does. Usually by default, weekday enum types start from 0. So in this case, you want to have like Monday, you want to associate it with value. You can start with 10 or any number that you want to, but this one determines the next value. So usually the next value will be incremented by 1, and then it will increment it by another 1. So notice Monday is assigned to 1. If you notice the tooltip, weekdays.monday equals to 1. Notice the value of Tuesday. It shows you as 2. Wednesday is 3. Thursday is going to be 4. Friday is going to be 5. If I were to remove the value of Monday, then it's going to start from 0. Notice the tooltip. It starts from 0. Weekdays.monday equals to 0. Tuesday will be 1. So it will increment from the start. It will always increment 1 by 1. So the enum types are numeric. So you can specify by adding colon. So the values are integer. The enum types values are going to be integer when you specify int. Or you could do short. You can't really do decimal. It doesn't take decimal. So short, you can do byte. So when you want to define constant variables in a group format, you can use enums, which gives it a structure and then much more readable your code. And then another value type is struct. Struct is a value type, and then when you want to encapsulate a group of related variables, you can use struct. This is for simple class. For example, let's just declare. The way you define a struct is you can use the keyword struct, and then let's call this one rectangle. Rectangle has 2 properties, right? Height and width. So let's just do public int height. Don't worry about this. It's a property, getter and setter. You can public int width. It's a very lightweight, and then if you're concerned about performance, struct is a choice for a very simple encapsulation of related variables. So that's about value types. In the next video, I will talk about reference type. Thank you for watching.